people and stuff like that. That's not what this is about anymore. The standards has changed tremendously. Kindergarten students need to know to write and read before they leave. And our teachers are responsible for that. Every teacher is responsible for every child that they have in their school. So I became a kindergarten teacher, told the principal, please don't let me do that again, and give me another grade, thank you. And I went on and taught for a few years there and became a curriculum resource specialist, an assistant principal, and then for 9 years, assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, which I truly, truly loved. But when I was principal at Thacker Avenue Elementary School, the director at Central Office was very interested in starting a dual language program. And I said, I'm it. I really want to try this. I mean, being a young Puerto Rican where my parents insisted that my first language was Spanish, I knew how important it was. But also what I discovered with my students were that those who were monolingual Spanish just didn't feel as good as the others. But there was a change in the dual language program. Suddenly, what I saw was that the Spanish-speaking child was helping the monolingual English. The monolingual English was helping the Spanish-speaking student. And all of a sudden, in December, I can never forget this, I walk into the classroom, little blonde, blue-eyed little girl is speaking to another child in Spanish, brought me to tears. So that's what this conference is all about, is bringing us to tears. Because we should dream and dream big. Our children can do anything that we expect them to do. It is truly about us and setting the expectation high. How many of you were born in poverty? Anybody here? But look at you. Where are you? Never underestimate our students. All children will learn because of you. Have a great conference. I know it's going to be wonderful. Thank you.
What an amazing story of success. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Luchiano. And for the presentation of the NABE Citizen Award goes to Dr. Melba Luchiano. Dr. Rosanna Boyd, please join us at the stage to present the award.
Let me explain what this award means. NABE chooses one person to recognize as the Citizen of the Year to receive this award or to give this award. And we look hard throughout the United States to find that person, that deserving person that year. And Melba is this year's deserving person. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I think they want me to say something. It truly is an honor. I think the greatest honor is being selected by the board to be the superintendent of our district. I have been in our district for 25 years, and I have loved every moment of it. But the passion, and I think Dr. Santiago Wood here, who, I mean, I'm telling you, you are dynamic. That's what this is all about, being a superintendent and truly going out there and doing what's best for our children. So I want to thank NABE for giving me this award. I appreciate it.
And the presentation of our NABE Ramon Santiago Award goes to Adalberto Guerrero, presented by Dr. Jose Ruiz Escalante, NABE board member.
Buenos días. Yo sé que hay gente que no habla español, pero voy a empezar en inglés porque el recipiente de este honor no está aquí hoy. pero es una de las personas que en los 60s, 50s, 60s empezó a pelear por el respeto del idioma español en los Estados Unidos. Yo sé que cuando digo el estado de Arizona, piensan muchas malas cosas. Oh, Arizona para acá, Arizona para allá. Pero Arizona, bajo el señor Alberto Guerrero, fueron los que empujaron la creación de la educación bilingüe federal. Y antes de NAVE, before NAVE, and a lot of people don't know it, we had the Southwest Association for Bilingual Education, which Beto always served as secretary. Alberto Guerrero, to me, I wish he was here, but his sister passed away January 31st, so he couldn't be here. He was my professor. He was my mentor. His sister, the one that just passed away, was my niece's teacher. His other sister was my son's principal. So I have a tie to this man. I wish he was here, because what we are cosechando hoy, él lo sembró en 1960, 1970. Él era un trabajador. Él nunca quiso, he never wanted to be recognized. He always deferred to other people. No, you should honor this person, you should honor this person. This year, when I said, I'm going to nominate you for this award, Nave said, no. I said, it's time that people like Alberto Guerrero be recognized. And I wish he was here so I could say more. And I know I don't have enough time, and I do get emotional because he's the one that taught me to defend the Spanish language. So because of him, 90% of my presentations are always in Spanish. He's not here with us, but his granddaughter, Andrea, is here to receive the award. This is the Ramon Santiago Award. Ramon Santiago is also you there. I'm new to NAVE. This is my 31st conference. Ramon Santiago was a past president and one of the key individuals to get NAVE going. So the award that NAVE presents to a person with a trajectory in bilingual education is named after Ramon Santiago.
Thank you. Thank you. We're all very proud of, as we know him, Tata Beto, and he's very sorry he couldn't be here with you, but he did send a few words to share with you. Primero, mi sincero agradecimiento a Nave, a Nilda Aguirre y al Dr. José Agustín Ruiz por este honor. Felicito a los integrantes de NAVE por su sostenida lucha a través de 42 años para que nuestro país algún día logre alcanzar la meta, no la realidad actual, de nuestro juramento a la bandera, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Timothy B. Tyson, en su obra verídica, Blood Done, Sign My Name, señala, our hidden history of race has yet to be fully told, and we persist in hiding from much of what we know. El libro trata de la bestialidad racista en este país contra los de origen africano. Confrontamos a diario manifestaciones del mismo racismo en los abusos contra nosotros, los hispanos. La determinación por erradicar los programas de educación bilingüe en Arizona, igual que en otros estados, tiene por objetivo nuestra sumisión. Los intolerantes reconocen la verdad de la cita de James Michener en The Covenant. If you would dominate a man, deprive him of his language. Nosotros reconocemos que el idioma es la primera y la más importante manifestación de cualquier cultura. Don Miguel de Unamuno, filósofo español, afirma que el ser humano es inseparable de su cultura. Yo soy yo y mi cultura. Destruye su cultura y habrás destruido su ser. El sistema educativo tradicional tiene como fin la destrucción de culturas extrañas. No acepta la enorme ventaja y los beneficios que un pueblo multicultural aportaría a la grandeza de este país. De mayor importancia, el sistema se niega a reconocer que nosotros, como padres, tenemos el derecho de crear y de instruir a nuestros hijos para que se parezcan a nosotros. No rindamos jamás este derecho. Ustedes, nuestros educadores, forjarán un futuro más equitativo y un país más digno de las sublimes palabras de su juramento a nuestra bandera.
Un fuerte abrazo a mis antiguos colegas y amigos, igual que a los jóvenes que se inician en la noblísima profesión del magisterio. Repito mi gratitud a NAVE y particularmente a mi gran amigo, el Dr. José Agustín Ruiz. Atentamente, Alberto Guerrero. Thank you.
You see, I mean, this guy was one of the first true bilingual, bicultural persons that I know. And 5th generation. Okay, and we lose it by the 3rd generation. And before I give the microphone up, there's 2 things I want to say, okay? First, just a quick announcement. Since we're talking about the future, Beso Institute tomorrow by UTSA and Our Lady of the Lake in San Antonio. The second is, I'm a Texan, but I'm an Arizonian. And I know you hear a lot of bad news about Arizona. But yesterday, the judge declared that Tucson Unified School District in Tucson must offer the cultural courses again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's welcome again to the stage Dr. Wood, Executive Director of NAVE.
Thank you so much. I'll try to be like a Baptist preacher. My picture was up there just before this one because I am going to have a bucket in the back row for you to make contributions to the NABE Scholarship. NABE has a bilingual teacher scholarship, the Ava Elwing Scholarship, and the Jose Marti Scholarship that will be awarding $2,000 to the Bilingual Teacher of the Year next year, 2014, in San Diego. So if you want to make a contribution to that, we welcome it. So thank you very much. Now, it gives me tremendous, tremendous pleasure. I don't get a chance to do this too often since I left the superintendent a few years ago, but I am so honored and so pleased to be able to recognize, if not the most outstanding superintendent in the state of Florida, and if not the country, not only because of his academic credentials and his achievements that are listed on page 45, but from the heart, I'll tell you what I saw him do on national television that I could not believe. And as I sat in my living room and I watched it, I said, "Sí se puede, viva." I will tell you what, there was a student in Dr. Carvalho School District that was being deported. A top student, #1 student, had come to this country as a young girl, a young child. Her parents brought her in the country. They did not have their documentation. She went through the school system. She excelled as the #1 student in that district. That child was scheduled to be deported a couple of weeks before her graduation as valedictorian. Do you know what Dr. Carvalho did? He went on national television. He organized his school district of students. And he said, if she gets deported, it will be over my dead body, and I will give up my superintendent. She is going to stay in this country and graduate. That's Dr. Alberto Carvalho. That's putting it on the line. That's leading with passion and leading with conviction. So that goes beyond all of his academic credential. It was really about caring for the students that we are responsible for and putting everything on the line for them. And in addition to that, he's one of the most effective superintendents in the country because just a few weeks ago, his district, the Miami-Dade Public School, with an incredible board and incredible teachers and administrators, won the grand prize, the Super Bowl in education, the Broad Foundation Prize. So let's give it up again. And it is so amazingly important for us. Will you stand to your feet with me, please? Stand to your feet and recognize. He doesn't like this, but I'm doing it because I'm also a superintendent. But stand to your feet and recognize someone that put it on the line for our students, and that is leading by example. Dr. Alberto Carvalho. Come on up, sir.
Wow. And here I thought that Cuban coffee only in Miami. I wonder what Santiago drank this morning. Cuban coffee on steroids. Let me begin by, first of all, acknowledging the same people that two superintendents who are here today. First, Superintendent from Orange County, Dr. Jenkins, and Dr. Luchiano from Osceola, who absolutely believe that the building blocks of democracy in America, those who intertwine the fiber of our flag, those who fight for the rights, the privileges, the freedoms for all of America's children, recognize that those people are teachers. So whether you are a kindergarten teacher, a middle school teacher, an adult education teacher, you stand as the freedom fighters of 21st century America. And I, as a humble superintendent, salute all of you. Please give yourselves a round of applause. I also would like to very, very quickly thank from the bottom of my bottomless heart the executive board and the leadership of NABE to be up here on this stage, shoulder to shoulder, eye to eye with you, to fight for the same sets of beliefs, ideals that should be well understood across all 50 states and provinces of this great country, is a mission that must not be traveled by you alone. So I stand in solidarity with everything you believe in. I also want to recognize and thank from the bottom of my heart once again dignitaries who are with us today, including the Honorable Alberto, the Consul General of the great nation of Mexico. And in addition, I really want to thank the fact that my own board chair, the chair of the School Board of Miami-Dade, Ms. Perla Tabares-Hantman, came from Miami this morning after a very long day of committee meetings yesterday to be here with me and, more importantly, with you today. Please recognize Ms. Perla Tabares-Hantman. And I'll tell you one thing, I cannot speak with the level of passion that Santiago Wood speaks. I won't even try, but here's what I fundamentally believe in. I believe that as long as Lady Liberty proudly stands in that harbor with that torch up in the air, as many lighthouses across our coasts signify, that torch, just like the light beaming out of lighthouses across our country, does not mean stay away. It means this is the way in. Let us not ever forget that our nation, the United States of America, is a nation of immigrants, built by immigrants, and never should we disrespect the immigrant in America. Now, you may have come today to perhaps hear some words of wisdom about education. Trust me, you will have many workshops about that. I'll touch a little bit on education. And in fact, I'll talk about the Miami Miracle. But more importantly, I want to talk to you about 3 stories. One, to establish some degree of credibility, my own personal story. And I will not linger in it for very long. 2, our collective story. And then last, a child's story. Because unless we visualize and we embrace the dignity, the nobility, the passion, and the compassion that dwells in the spirit and the soul of children, we're not doing our jobs. We're not being the parents we want to be. We're not being the educators we profess to be. We're not being the elected leaders that we should be. But then again, I'm speaking to the good people because you are here today. You embrace that concept. You believe that on your shoulders rests the conscience of a nation who unfortunately lately demonizes and denigrates and scapegoats educators and immigrants for the economic woes and the trials and tribulations of our country. Hear it from me now. As superintendent, I am urging you, do not accept that malicious rhetoric in your communities. For educators, teachers, immigrants, Those who were born far away or here, children of immigrants, are all children of the same God with the same rights and the same respect owed to them. You see, we have seen the demonizing, we have seen the demagoguery, we have seen the criticism years ago. Once you start picking on one people and blame that people for the lack of courage and the political acumen and the leadership to do what's right, you are not being a godly person. And let me tell you one thing, perhaps I should not be standing here on this stage as a public school superintendent talking about God, but in my faith I believe, and I believe by the grace of God, here I am. And by the grace of God, nobody in this country will put me out. So I recognize and I appreciate when Santiago Wood says that I put my superintendency on the line over that one young lady. Yes, her name was Daniela Pelaez, with a GPA so high that 2 students could have graduated with her GPA. A GPA of 6.71. It sounds like the Richter scale of an earthquake. 6.71, Santiago. 6.71. And my friends, here's what I know about Daniela that touched me in my heart. For I saw me, my journey, my fears at her age in her eyes. You see, Daniela came to this country from Colombia at the age of 2. She stood proudly by the United States flag and pledged allegiance. She sang the national anthem, never knowing that perhaps it was not her right to do so. Her parents taught her to love this nation, taught her to respect and embrace and read and understand our Constitution. It is her land. Amazingly, Daniela's brother had just got done fighting for our nation in Afghanistan. And in a time of economic recession, when the federal government could not balance its budget, at a time when we as a nation allowed our credit rating to be downgraded, at a time when unemployment was surging and the middle class and those who are most fragile and invisible in our country were losing their jobs and falling into the abyss of despair, our nation had no greater priority than to pick on Daniela. That is why what I said then, I would say it now. Over my dead body would that child be deported from this country as long as Lady Liberty hoists her torch up into the air. That is the beacon of hope and opportunity. That is the light that will show the way for those who are in despair, in pain, those who are fleeing political oppression, those who are looking for economic opportunity. Were we not the sons and daughters of those who from China built the railways, of those who block after block, cinder block on top of one another, built the Empire State Building, those who built America one street, one building at a time? You see, it is not just the people of Wall Street today. It was the people of the common street of yesterday. And here's what I know. We cannot move forward unless we understand our own personal and collective history as a nation, as a people, as an individual. So let me tell you a little about my own personal journey. My name is Alberto Monteiro de Carvalho. A lot of vowels in there. I was born in Lisbon, Portugal, the poorest country in Western Europe. My board chair always tugs at her heart when I tell my story. She says, it makes me feel bad. But here's my story, folks. One of 6 kids. I never knew what indoor plumbing or electricity was. For the 6 of us, plus my parents, lived in a 1-room apartment with no kitchen or bathroom. There was a community kitchen and bathroom. My daughter, who's 21 years old, when she was about 11 years old, she says, but Daddy, how did you take a shower every morning? You know, our kids today take about 4 or 5 showers a day. I say, honey, Daddy was lucky if I took a shower once a week. And she says, but that's stinky. That's reality in most of the world. And unless you know where you came from, you cannot identify with those who just got here, but just left where you were. For many of us, they just got here, but yesterday they were where we were a few years ago. And to turn our backs on their journeys, to turn their backs on their dreams, to turn their backs on their aspirations, is to turn our backs on ourselves and our parents. My mom and dad had no formal education. In fact, they had 6 years of schooling. Neither one of them got past 3rd grade. What they lacked, however, in formal education, they more than made up with love, principled living, values. They embraced us in the sphere of comfort. I took my jeans that were far too big for me or my holy shoes, and I wore them with pride because mom and dad gave them to me. My mother was a seamstress. My father started out as a custodian. It is not where we start, sometimes not even where we end up. It is a journey of our lives. How we choose to live our lives, how we choose to treat others, the dignity we choose to impart to those who come across our way. Is that not the journey of a teacher? You're trained, you love, you hug, you teach. You do not ask for papers. You do not ask for the religion. It matters not the color of your skin or the beautiful language you speak. In fact, you do not elevate one language over another. Let us not forget that this nation, this great nation of ours, speaks English by one single vote in Congress. Otherwise, we could have very well been speaking German by one single vote. So my journey to this country was much like the journey of countless young men and women who come to our shores. It took me 8 months working on a cruise ship, scrubbing deck, scrubbing pots and pans in the bowels of a ship to earn enough money to buy either 2 years of college in Portugal to become the very first not only graduate, high school graduate in my family, but perhaps college graduate in my family. 2 years of college or a trip to New York City. Hello, New York. Guess what I did? I convinced the folks in the United States Embassy in Lisbon, Portugal, that I really wanted to vacation in New York City. I promise you, I will be back in 30 days. Stark County. I arrived in New York City, JFK International Airport, within 4 hours. I was scrubbing pots and pans in the bowels of restaurants in New York City. After that, I traveled across about 30-some states, being a day laborer, working construction, bussing tables, until I landed in South Florida. And I'll tell you one thing, there's nothing like the welcoming smell of roasted pork and café cubano and a little bit of salsa and merengue to tell you, you are in the right place. And it doesn't snow. Right place. And from then on, it was very quickly. From day laborer, from a child of a seamstress and a custodian, to a day laborer, to a dishwasher, to a busboy, to a teacher, to a superintendent. But always, always with a clear belief that this is a land of opportunity, that this is the land where miracles happen if you dare to be a miracle worker. This is the land where, yes, inspired by destiny, but driven by your own design, great things can happen if you simply believe. But believing alone is not enough, just like praying alone is not enough. Frederick Douglass once said that I prayed for 20 years. For 20 years I prayed on my knees and nothing happened. And then I started praying with my feet and the world changed. And with our feet we march. We march intellectually. We march figuratively. We march literally on behalf of those who cannot march for themselves, for they stand in the shadow of what we do, too afraid to ask for their own rights or for the rights for their children.